you very much for having me. This is one of those topics that I'm very interested in and very passionate about, but I don't get to talk so much about it. So I'm glad to be here. Uh, this talk is going to have a little bit of storytelling from my life and how my past is shaping my present and my future, and also a few actionable tips that you can take from this and say, okay, these are the things I'm going to do, or these are the stuff that I am not going to do. Uh, let's get started. So, what do you see?
A child.
Hmm.
Your childhood picture?
Okay.
On the left hand side there's a shelf in which there are a few things left.
Yes. So, what you should have seen is that.
I saw an old lock. A lock. The lock seemed
Yes.
very
Well,
interesting.
why should I have? Why should we have seen that?
Because this is a talk about being organized. So this is a picture very representative of my childhood. So we lived in a house and managed our lives in a manner where we just kept the mixie in the living room showcase, and we arranged books in a way that nobody knew what book it was. My grandmother left her Volini right there. My grandfather would leave his handbag in the showcase. So this is the kind of life uh, I was raised in, right? This is when I was very young. Since then, we've moved to Hosur and then we moved to Bangalore, and we've lived in like bigger 2 BHKs. This is a house that had just one room and a kitchen. And since then, we've lived in bigger houses, but our life was like this. We are the kind of household where tired people will come and leave their handbag on the sofa, and it will remain there until somebody takes it the next morning. If a postman comes and knocks on the door and my mother is making coffee, she will get that envelope and put it under the sugar box in the kitchen and forget to tell anybody that there was a letter there, right? Uh, LIC premiums were always late. We didn't know what was happening. Only when somebody reminded us, we knew things. In fact, there was a time when my younger brother, who used to be a state level cricket player for Karnataka, now he's just a sales guy, but when he was younger, he did some interesting stuff in life. Uh, he was traveling abroad for a cricket competition. And he came home and he was like, Amma, give me my passport. We need to apply for visa. The entire family gathered around, and we were going round and round the house looking for his passport. We just, nobody knew where it was. Turns out my grandmother was taking her medication when the postman came with the passport a few months ago, and she figured the best place to put it was in her medicine box. And that's where we found it after hours of searching, right? So I come from a family where it worked for everybody else. But I lived in a constant anxiety of not being able to find things. And so being disorganized is my worst nightmare. It feels like I lived that trauma throughout my childhood, which then made me into the kind of person who does this. That's my standard desktop. It is like this every single day. That's my fridge. Stuff is kept in single file. Like there is, like you will not find chutney that is 3 months old hidden away in a corner in my fridge. Like I keep my carrots vertical, and you can count the number of carrots when you open the fridge, right? So from a family that was so disorganized that we couldn't find our passports, I became the extreme opposite to be the kind of person who needs to have everything organized. My mother-in-law thinks that's impressive, so it works. My psychiatrist thinks I'm a little obsessive. However, I think that it is that obsession that makes me comfortably run 3 businesses and a beautiful home without losing my mind. So I take both, right? I'm happy my mother-in-law thinks I'm impressive. I'm happy my doctor thinks I'm obsessive. It works. It works. Today, I'm here to tell you the kind of structure that I have in mind that makes this organizational practice of mine work. We can talk about what works for me, what works for you, and discuss things. But I have 3 simple rules, and that's what I'm going to tell you. before that, let's have a quick poll. So Shimna, if you can run the poll, I basically want to understand if anybody is interested in being organized at all and why you're here. So
All right.
hit me up.
Okay, so going ahead and launching the poll, and people who are not able to see the poll, please use the chat window to respond to the questions which you see on the screen.
Yeah.
And the poll is up. So people chat responses, all the participants, super organized, fairly organized, organized enough, not very organized. Let's see some responses, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. We see 5s and 2s. More responses, please. Okay. I'll have it for another 10 more seconds, 45 seconds before I close the poll. All righty. So here I go.
Oh, there's a Ranjani among you.
All right. So let me share the result on screen, Ranjani, for you to see and for everybody to see. So we have.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay.
So for the grand total.
Yes.
For the grand total of 3 people who are interested in my talk, let's continue. So 3 simple rules, right? Rule number 1, everything needs a permanent place. I have another question. What is the difference between Netflix and Tamil Rockers? If you don't know what Tamil Rockers is, it is a piracy syndicate which uploads.
Similar to a torrent, right?
Yes, yes. Who can tell me what's the difference between Netflix and Tamil Rockers? 3, okay, unrelated but correct.
Netflix is more organized.
Almost there, but not exactly. The answer I had in mind is everybody knows where to find Netflix. Right? One of the most important rules for me about being organized is everything needs to have a place. And that place is not your dining table, unless it's, of course, cutlery and fruits, or the TV stand and things like that. Everything needs to have a permanent place. So in my organization, M-Dash, one of the very few things that somebody will hear snark from me is asking the question, where can I find it? Because we have organized structures for exactly where everything goes. And we have a wiki that tells people where they can find things. This, for me, is extremely important because things having a permanent place means that they will not get misplaced. You can't lose something that has a permanent place unless you don't use the permanent place. It's very easy to collaborate. So if 2 people need to work on a particular document, if both of them know where it is, I can quickly say, come to that document, and everybody knows where it is. So there is no, let me share this with you. Can you send a link? Is it, have you given me comment access? Have you given me edit access? None of that. It is in one place and both of them know. So like we waste exactly 0 time in finding things at M-Dash. The next thing is business continuity is very easy as well. So if one morning I just drop dead, my team can still meet customer needs. And that's the kind of business I want to build. And therefore, everything having a permanent place is important. But what I also find, not just at work, right? When I'm traveling, my husband never calls me and says, where is the Semia? Because there's a permanent place and he knows where to find it. So in essence, everything having a place also gets into the habit of everybody knowing where things will be. And in the long run, it not only saves a lot of time, but it also saves a lot of heartburn. So a few ways in which you can make sure that everything has a permanent place is make it accessible. Unless it is alcohol, if it is not accessible, it will not be used. Make it visible. Unless it's alcohol, make everything else visible, because if it is seen, it will be used. If it is out of sight is out of mind, a chutney that is there in the back of the fridge is going to be there for months until somebody actually finds it. Keep it updated. Like if you have a 20-year-old camera and it's not working, replace it, get rid of it, recycle it. If you have an insurance that is expired 3 months ago, update it. And when there is a permanent place for everything, it's more likely to get updated because it's accessible, visible, and you see it and you remember that it needs to be updated. The last one is use a WIP basket. Don't use it as a permanent place. Use it as a work in progress place. So for instance, if your insurance is expiring end of December and you know you have another 20 days before you have to worry about it, write it in a sheet of paper and put it in that basket. And every Sunday, clear that basket out. So you can make sure that your problems get resolved before they actually need to. So at 11 p.m., the day your insurance expires, you don't have to worry about it. So find a permanent place for everything. And if it's not important enough to give it a permanent place, get rid of it. Rule number 2, everything needs to have clear boundaries. This is a lesson that I learned from college, right? I studied at Manipal University, and we were allotted a house, like a staff quarters, as the hostel. 4 of us shared the house. We were very good friends. We got along very well. We shared a lot of things, notes, internet. Even sometimes I wrote their assignments, they wrote mine. We got along so well until one morning, I woke up to find that my roommate had smoked the last cigarette I had left aside for the next morning. Smokers know what that feels like. It's blasphemy, right? That's where I draw the line. That's the thing I will not share. Find out what your boundary is. Your boundary might be not as bad as mine, right? You're probably happy to walk up and get your cigarette. So you're happy to share your money with other people, whatever it is. Identify what your boundary is and do not push that boundary until it is absolutely inevitable. And I'm too shy to draw boundaries is not an acceptable reason. So think of boundaries as something that helps you, like for instance, if somebody says I will show up for a meeting at 7 o'clock, then have a boundary for how long you will wait before you say you didn't respect my time, so I'm not going to wait for you any longer. And then that will help you take yourself seriously, your time seriously, and be organized. So a few things I do is I leave a separate place for each item. So if there is, we have a place in our house where we leave our work laptops, and that's not the bedroom side table. So that even if I'm working till 10 p.m., there is a boundary. Like it gets over at 10 p.m. and I go to bed, right? Stuff like that. Don't club money unless you don't care. For instance, if you have a retirement plan, like if you have a mutual fund for retirement, don't break it for child education. Just have a child education mutual fund and a retirement mutual fund just to make sure that you have money when you retire. Do one thing at a time. Even if you're the boss, do one thing at a time. If you are likely to be distracted, but make sure that you are not distracted so often that everything gets done badly. Rule number 3, everything important needs backup. So I have a fantastic story that I think will relate. A lot of you will be able to relate. So in 2013, before I started my business, I was at a job that I absolutely hated. But the worst part is the job hated me more. So grudgingly, like in a bad marriage, I used to go to work every day and I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. It was a miserable experience until one fine morning, an extraordinarily kind gentleman put me out of my misery. So he invited me to his office, made me sign a few papers, gave me a check, and had 2 of his associates escort me out of the building. Before I realized I was fired, I didn't even have the chance to log out of my inbox in the computers. I just got home and changed passwords, right? There was so much to worry about when that happened. There was so much, so many horrible things that I was expecting will happen. But there was one horrible thing that did not happen, which is I did not have to email them to send me my payslips. Because every month when I got my payslips, I downloaded them and uploaded them to my personal cloud. So as and when things happen, download and save. You don't know how bad your life will get. You don't know when you will be cut off from things. Make sure that you have a backup for everything. And email is not good backup. So here's how I approach my backup. So I have a backup of all my documents on the cloud. Depending on how privacy conscious you are, maybe you don't want to put it on Google Drive, but you want to find your own cloud space, whatever works for you, but have some kind of a backup for all your documents. Save bills, receipts, and everything as and when it happens. I'm a business owner. So at the end of the year, if my CA asks me to give all the receipts to him for auditing, there's no way I can manage that. So every time I get a receipt, I immediately archive it. So it's updated in real time and anybody can audit it. Email is not backup. If your CV, the last version of your CV is in your email and actually not as a document, then you're doing your job search wrong. So keep it updated and keep a backup of everything. I said 3 rules. So these are my 3 rules, but I have 2 more things that might be very helpful. Review and automate. Every month, review your work, money, personal life, and keep record. So basically say, how many articles have I written? How much money have I made? How much time have I spent with family? Did we watch a movie together? How much alcohol have I had? Whatever it is that's going on in your life, just take a moment, take half a day, one Sunday, sit down and review. It's all the more important because at the end of the year during appraisal time, you will have data of all the work that you don't have to scramble for. Set recurring appointments on your calendar. This is things like bills to pay, insurance to renew, that kind of stuff. I'm assuming most of you already do it. Build lists. So if this year when you did appraisal, you know that they would expect 5 things of you. Keep a list and every month update that list. And that way, everything is updated in real time. So if suddenly in 6 months you feel like you're an absolute loser, you will have some record that shows, okay, I've done something. So I'm not an absolute loser. I'm probably a halfway loser. At least you'll know the truth, right? So review and automate as much as you can. My last tip, this is the tip that has brought me here. Keep a list of friends you want to stay in touch with. Facebook is not good enough. Twitter is not good enough. Keep a list of friends that you want to stay in touch with. Every time you feel you're bored or you have some extra time, just pick some random person from this list and call, right? But have a list of people that are important to you just to make sure that you will stay in touch with them as and when necessary. Because Pawan's on my list and that's the only reason I'm here. That's it. After that dramatic pause, I am open for questions.
That's wonderful, Ranjini. Thank you so much. I think
you're just saying that.
This is a good refresher. Yes.
This is a good checklist, actually. I mean, I think very few of us say that they are fully organized. So maybe this checklist will help us do it.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Are you inspired by the show, The Home Edit, or was it prior to that or after?
I have always been quite organized, as in I'd say sometime I left home for Manipal. So when I finished my graduation, I left home. And when I left home, I sort of put all my documents in a folder and carried it with me. And I think from there, I've been pretty organized. Yeah, I've seen The Home Edit and I've seen the Marie Kondo show as well. And I do enjoy watching those things quite a bit. But it's because I'm organized that I enjoy it and not really the other way around, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
Great session, Ranjini. I mean, it's nice to see people who are so organized. I mean, we all consider ourselves organized to a certain degree, but I think your psychiatrist is right to a certain extent.
She is absolutely right. She knows me very well. Yeah.
But more importantly, everything else is appreciated. That tip about your resumes, keeping updated. I mean, could have skipped that part in this call.
Great.
Just hinting, keep your value updated also.
Yeah, definitely.
So Ranjini, we have Vijay Raghav who has a question, so I'm just going to let
Yes.
him speak.
Yes.
Yes, Vijay, you can go ahead and ask your question.
We have two questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. The first question is, what is your recommendation for the to-do list software to accomplish most of the things that you mentioned? Do you use one? Curious. Second question is, for a person who is so organized and a master planner, I'd like to know, how do you look at spontaneity in life? Like, are there things that you do without much planning? How do you look at spontaneity in life?
Sure. Yes, I use two project management tools. One is Flow, which is what the team uses, getflow.com. So we track all deliverables on the platform, and every day they're able to see what they need to deliver. And they're also able to see what's coming up for the rest of the week or rest of the month. So that kind of gives us the visibility in terms of what work needs to be done. I personally use this tool called Claro, CLARO .today. And that's more like a virtual list of random things to do. Like, for example, a client would have written back to me and said, can you just change this comma to a full stop and send it back to me, right? Those kind of things don't really need to go to the project management tool. Those are just little things that need to happen, or I need to call somebody and things like that, which is not really project. Go on Claro, and that typically is a longer list of things that I have a list of things and I just check it off. So about spontaneity, it is an interesting question. I do think there is a bit of a conundrum there. I wouldn't think of myself as spontaneous in that sense. For example, even if my bestest friend came today and said, let's go to Pondicherry tomorrow, I wouldn't go. That's just, it's not in my schedule. Put it on my calendar or it's not happening. So I do think it limits spontaneity to a great extent, but I've also noticed that as I've grown older, I don't want to be spontaneous. It's just exhausting. So I'm happy maintaining my energy within what I can plan and manage. I also, so my standard breakfast is chapati and egg burji. Sometimes I eat pongal. Is that treated as spontaneity? Is that spontaneous enough? I don't know. But those kind of little things happen. But the reason I eat chapati and egg burji every day is that I don't want to answer a question about, oh my God, what are we going to eat today? Right? But sometimes I just wake up feeling like I want to eat pongal, and we make pongal and eat. So there is a tiny level of space of spontaneity, but you're right. It is something that I have to compromise to be organized.
Thanks, Ranjini. This was a very informative and entertaining session.
Thank you. I am glad my life story entertains you.
All right, great. Just the other perspective also, Ranjini, what I think is, it's also depending on personalities of people and, the tendencies or how spontaneous certain set of people want to be, because it's more inherent in them or they kind of conditioned to it as well, right? Yeah. So, but organizing is equally important as well. Fantastic. So I have another question from Rebecca. I'm going to let her speak.
Yes.
Over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sushumna. Hi, Ranjini. Thank you so much.
Hi,
that was very insightful. I can pretty much relate to it because that is how I started and that is where I am today. Not as organized as keeping the carrots vertical, but yes, definitely I know where things are and I always bookmark them so that it's easier to understand, be it my emails or anything. But what I've observed is it's easier when you have to organize, and when you're working in an organization you have very dynamic set of people, and how much ever you want to lead with example, it's not very easy to transfer that to your peers or your reportees or your friends around. So how is it that we can influence when we have dynamic people? And maybe not to the extent that we may organize, but at least if we want to influence, how do you think we can do it in a small or a simpler way?
Hmm. I think it helps immensely if you're the boss, but if you're not, here are a few things that I do. So I have very clear documentation for stuff. So let's say how client delivery is done, right? So I have a document that says inside this folder, like for example, we have monthly folder. So I have a client folder inside which there's monthly folder, and inside the monthly folder there are each blog posts that are delivered in that month with
Okay.
the task number. So it will say, let's say if I'm doing something for Regalix, it might say RX-12-01, RX-12-02 for December.
Okay.
And it's just like I have a document that outlines that. And there's a structure. So Regalix becomes RX, and people probably know that, or they'll probably look at our project management tool and find that number. So there's a SOP for most things. And because it's my business, people feel a little more compelled to follow that SOP than probably a peer or a senior might be able to. But in essence, after a month or so or trying that out, right, they realize that it is so much easier that it becomes second nature for them. Like when I initially got married, my husband was quite disorganized, and it was a nightmare to keep things in place. But today I see him roll the towel and put it away because he knows that a rolled towel is just so much easier to grab when necessary.
Okay.
So the once they start seeing the real value of being organized, it becomes second nature. Until then, the evangelizing is difficult, but to me it helps because most of my team is very junior. They're just coming out of college.
Correct.
I'm the boss. They listen to me, and they kind of do what I say, and so they assume that this is how it's done.
So basically, we have to inculcate it.
Yes, and it takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
And document everything. Have documents. Most of the time when somebody comes to a call and asks me the question, my first response will be, have you read Notion? And once you ask them, have you read Notion 4 or 5 times, they will go read Notion, like that.
Thank you so much, Ranjini.
You're most welcome, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
There's also a request if you can write a simpler book on how to get things done, Ranjini, from Vijay, because he's finding it hard to follow David Allen. So I think there'll be a lot more requests coming through of people who want to be much more organized than what they are today.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, I would like that when I can schedule time for it. Yes, definitely.
But I must appreciate taking out an older picture of yours when you were that young to kind of get a comparison to today's time of how you are showing actually your fridge. Is it still the same way today, or is it just for representation purposes?
That picture was taken because somebody asked me on Twitter the other day. Like somebody showed a really terrible picture of a fridge and said, "Show me a picture of your fridge," and it was taken there. But it's most likely like that today also. Because over time, my housekeeper, I have one person who just takes care of us, and she also gets used to that kind of thing because she's the one who buys vegetables for us. She realizes that when it's arranged that way, you never waste anything. So she also puts it like that. Do you want me to go check and show you a picture?
We're good. I just asked a question. That's it. I was curious, is it actually reality or not? But I'm good with it.
Yeah, it will be.
Because being able to maintain the consistency in maintaining, especially your house fridge and managing your clothes in the wardrobe, probably one of the biggest challenges. Work, you still try to consciously kind of list things down, make a note of things, work with it, right? So being able to strike a balance for everybody, that's also something. It has to come.
And I think for me, it worked out really well because I've always worked from home. Like since 2013, I've been working from home, right? So home environment needs to be organized for me to feel like I'm the type who will procrastinate by doing dishes.
Yeah.
So the dishes need to be done and need to be done on time so I can sit down and do the work. And because I work from home always, it kind of worked itself out.
The moment you say work from home, all of us are yearning to get back to work. At least most of us are. That's what comes to our mind, getting to meet people.
I'm just so glad working from home. It just works. I've always worked from home.
Great, great. Anybody else, any other questions or anything that you'd like to share, please feel free to. Another couple of minutes, then we'll probably...
Sushma, you skipped Pawan's question, Sushma.
Pawan's question, okay, let me go ahead.
Pawan asked a question.
Okay, so the question is, how do you manage to keep yourself updated with dynamics associated with new movie releases? I know you do, but how?
Okay, so a few ways. I'm on the PR list of OTT platforms, so I get preview links automatically. Like I tell them to only send me Tamil links and not send Telugu and Kannada, but I continue to get them. And I get a lot of press releases as well that say that this is coming out on this day and stuff like that. I have a secret Twitter list of film influencers, which I check once a day to make sure there is no new news. And also my editors at the First Post write to me if there is something I've missed using these two channels.
Do you tend to stalk people as well?
I don't have the time anymore, but I used to. Yeah.
You just get the updates.
No, now mostly I just get them. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because
but
I
if
think
there's one person sorry, go on.
No. It's a wonderful pastime for a lot of people, just going to posts and people's accounts to kind of check if there's some update or not. So it's kind of very common that happens. Wonderful. You were saying something, I'm sorry.
No, I said if there's only one person who we should really stalk to get any update, it's Gautam Menon, but even then there is no update happening, so it doesn't matter.
Just the new, I think, Netflix session, I think a Netflix series.
Yeah. 18th, I believe it's releasing on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. I think this is more to do with Tamil talks of what Gautam Menon is doing, and I'll spare everybody of that.
Yes.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the session, Ranjini. Indeed, it was a pleasure talking to you and having all the panelists and attendees with us today. Thank you so much. And probably, any tips that you have that we can share it with everybody, please do share. Maybe we'll connect with you on that. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.